everybody. I'm Rob Roy. It's a video. As you say, football team, I worked with them a number of years ago to get their teams up to speed. What I normally do is I get people motivated to be exceptional, to be beyond what they think they are. Most people operate in an area by 40-50% of what they can do, and they say it's 100%. And Melinda talked about this earlier. We live in a world of comfort, right? We don't like walking out in the rain. We don't like living in bad weather. We don't like doing anything that makes us uncomfortable, or at least we think what makes us uncomfortable. Because it's just a matter of a couple of differences in temperature to determine whether or not we're going to do something. Melinda says everybody has the same number of hours every day. Everybody has the same number of hours every week. Everybody has the same number of hours every month. It's what you do in those hours and those minutes and those days that determine how successful you are going to be or how successful you want to be. Now, we all measure success differently. We all have a standard in which we all follow. But without some kind of like influencing to you, like mentorship or coaching or partners, and this one I think Dave said tribes, you're never going to get there. It's impossible for you to go beyond where you're at because nothing is going to help you more than an external voice. Intrinsically, you talk yourself out of stuff. I'm going to get up late today. I'm not going to work out today. I'll wait till tomorrow. This is my fast day. This is my heavy day when I'm eating all the food I shouldn't be eating. I'm going to give you an example. Melinda said to you guys, raise your hand. Everybody raise your hand. Raise your hands. She says, and that's reaching to the sky, right? Everybody believe that? Go ahead, keep them up. That's how high you can go, yes? Does everybody agree with that? No. Stand up. Everybody stand up. Right? Stand up. Now raise your hand. Right? It's as simple as that. I want you to stay standing for a second. It's as simple as that. There's one methodology we all follow. We follow the same road. We follow the same direction. We all sit down. We go, that's as high as I can go. Somebody comes in, your work partner, your employer, right? In your own business, it's just you realize there's a better way of doing this. And then you stand up and you go even higher. If I said even go even higher, stand in the chair. If I said go any higher, you say stand on the table until you can't reach the ceiling anymore because you're through the ceiling. Go ahead and lower your hands. Look at each other. Pick somebody in the room and look at them. Doesn't matter who they are. I want you, doesn't matter who it is, I want you to look at them and I want you to tell them something. Don't say anything bad to them. Don't say anything bad to them. I want you to lie to them. No matter what it is, I just want you to lie to them. Nothing about weight or nothing about how they're dressed. I just want you to take a couple seconds and I want you to lie to them. I want you to feel the emotion behind that lie, right? Okay, we did that, yes? Now, don't tell a story, just like something super simple. Now, any of that could be your lie, doesn't matter. All right, now turn to somebody else and tell them something that's the truth.
Mercedes kind of like the star, you know.
And look at the other person, tell them something the truth.
Is that really
Okay, everybody have a seat. Man! You guys are a bunch of gossipers. Well, like, just tell one thing. Yeah, the sky is blue, or it's purple. Like, hey, my name is Bob, and my name is Sarah, so on and so forth. But what you need to take from that is that the emotional connection you have with the person when they told you something that was a lie. The emotional connection you felt from the person, the authenticity you got when it was the truth. When you go out and talk to and I'm not a lone person. I'm like blown away by all the numbers and statistics and all the stuff that you guys are talking about. And I'm sitting here going, wow, this guy's doing a lot of work. But what makes it real for me, as a person that knows nothing about that, is the authenticity of someone telling me the truth. It makes me, as a consumer of your product, want to work with C2. I'm like, well, it's a lot of effort, but it's all the truth. It's authentic. And when you're working with people, it's authenticity that actually matters. Your product works, it's great, but I may not buy it from you because I don't like you. And the reason I don't like you is because you're not authentic to me. The minute you tell somebody that they're lying to you, you set yourself up for failure in your mission. The minute you're not honest with them, you set yourselves up for failure because you're not honest with them. And the problem with that is it affects you. It affects your bottom line. It affects what you want to do. It affects where you want to go. We all have a place we want to go to. The problem is that a lot of people, They want to take the same road. They want to take the same road. They did it that way, I want to do it that way too. When you go into SEAL teams, there's an expectation for you to do what? To be successful. Individual effort within a group environment. Individual effort within a group environment. You're originating loan officers, I get LOs. You're individual, you're part of a tribe, a part of a network of people that are working together to do what? To sell or to process loans. In my line of work, when I go talk to people, when I work with them, I coach them, my job is to get them to be better than they were. It makes no sense that like, I want to walk into a gym, 72 degrees, let's work out. They're never going to get to where they want to be unless I take them outside at 85-degree weather. You don't have to work out for 45 minutes. You just have to work out till you can't work out anymore. Because the expectation from you is that you're going to give 100%. I started Buds with 250 people, lined up left and right, some of the best kids in the world. And everybody says they're going to make it. No, they're not going to make it. Because they have expectations within themselves that cause them to fail. They've already told themselves, I'm not going to make it. If it gets this much more difficult for me, I'm not going to make it. No matter what we say to them, no matter what the external voice is talking to them, they're not going to make it. So at the end of the day, 28 people are left in my class. 28 people went through Hell Week, 28 people graduated. And no difference. Admiral Olson used to tell everybody, they're just regular people doing extraordinary things. Because they worked in a tribe. Just like you guys are doing here, you're learning about your product, learning how to sell it, but you're also learning about the other people in the room. What are they doing in Michigan, Chicago, or Illinois, Hawaii? What are they doing that makes them more successful? If it's a point percentage in what you guys are doing, that's a point percentage you need to gain. That's a point percentage you need to own. That's a territory you need to take over. The SEALs are known for their missions, but nobody knows their missions until we fail one. There's 5 SEAL teams on the East Coast, 5 SEAL teams on the West Coast, all over the world, and then there's SEAL Team 6. SEAL Team 6 is the NFL of special operations. We don't compare ourselves to other special operations. You're never going to find a SEAL that says, we're just like Delta. We're just like the PJs. No, they used to say, hey, we're just like the SEALs. And it's not because of our well, it might be because of our egos. It's usually it's because if you start comparing yourself to somebody else, you're never going to get to where you want to go. Because you're taking the same road they took. And you cannot take the same road to be successful because the variables in your life are completely different. Your balance, your work-life balance is different than the other person. I think, Melinda, did you say you have 6 kids? No. I heard that wrong. She said 6?
Youngest was 6.
Oh, the youngest was 6. Oh, gosh.
She's the youngest.
Oh, okay, your youngest was 6. Thank you. All right, so you got all these people that you're working with. And it's like, how do you make things work for you? What is your work-life balance? I was talking to somebody earlier and I said, look, work-life balance is not the amount of time you spend working on something or with your family and your kids. It's the amount of quality you spend with your wife, kids, and significant others. I'd rather you spend 25 minutes of your undivided time with me than 3 hours with me. And we know that because we've driven in cars with our significant others, right? Before GPS, things were rough, right? Now those of us who remember that they didn't have GPSs in the cars and our cell phones, when you have to whip out the map and talk to you, the person you're with, and give you directions on what turns you need to make. I know that doesn't sound right for some people, but if you're over 50 years old, right, you know, we used to have these things called maps. You have to spread out and figure out where you're at. And then have these yard things out there say, okay, you're at mile marker 25, especially on turnpike. What I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how old you are in order for you to be more successful. What I'm telling you is that you have to figure out what that is for you. We deal with adversity. Adversity's good. Why is adversity good? Because it challenges us to be better than we are right now. If you went through your entire day, and I'm not saying challenges are great, but adversity brings out the best in us. And why is that? Because our lizard brain tells us that we used to be, 2,000 years ago, 200 years ago, out in the woods, we're surviving. Everything wanted to kill us. Now we kill everything. Right? So adversity is like, how cold was it? What animals are out there tracking us down? Our instincts are to protect and to protect our families and to gather more nutrients to survive. And we crave that. And then when we don't get that, what happens? We get anxiety. We get depression. I'm not telling you to go out and run a marathon. I'm saying that without adversity. And right now, you guys are definitely in an adverse time. And some people say a challenging time. But adversity means something that's happening we don't have control over. And when that happens, it's like when Linda and everybody else has been telling you, this is the time to reinvest in what you do. This is the time to start working out. If you're a SEAL, the time to working out. When we prepare for missions in the middle of a war, we're constantly figuring out how do we do it better? How do we get to this Bin Laden, right? How do we get to anybody that's out there we're trying to capture in a foreign country? Those are all adverse situations. They're a little different. You're not killing your clients. But we So you want to look at like, what's the first in my life? You have to take that challenge on and go, hey, this is what I'm going to make happen. Project what you want to happen and it'll happen. I'm not one of those people that say, fall down and catch me, right? Because it doesn't work. You need external information, external relationships that are going to make you better. Mentorship makes you better. This room of people that are in the thousands of people that are part of the C2 family are going to help you. Not to do what they did, but to do what you do best. Your relationships, your variables in your relationship to people around you. There's like a million ways of meeting people. But it's those relationships, those authentic relationships that make people want to come back to you. And yes, I do remember my favorite restaurant in Coronado. Right, the best hotel I ever stayed at, because the people were nice. They were authentic with me. Anybody I felt was deceiving me, I didn't do anything. We talk about challenges, right? These are just regular people. All these photos, half of them are people that, in the SEAL team, the other half are just regular people that did programming with me. So you can't tell the difference because they're facing the same adversity, the same challenges, and basically the same expectations. That you will do this or you will fail. And there's nothing wrong with failure. But you can't put failure in your missions. Say, Rob, how do you put failure in a mission? Because you think about it. You think about, I may not be able to do this. I may not be able to handle this. I may not what? I may not, this phone call I'm going to get is probably not going to work. You start off with a negative thought, and it manifests itself into your reality. I don't know what you guys do on a day-to-day basis, but I know people. And I know we get comfortable, right? We get comfortable in what we do. I did the same thing last year. Great. You're not going to meet your numbers. I think Melinda said it. You did it last year, that's fantastic. It's awesome. You're the best person in the world. It won't get you the trophies. Not that you should get a trophy, unless you're, 20 years old and you got trophies for failing. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying you don't get a trophy for last place.
They call it participating.
Yeah, participation trophy. And in your business, you don't get participation trophies. You get trophies for being the best at what you do. And the people that have gotten those trophies look at that as a challenge that they're going to succeed and to do better next year. The Navy gives out these things called Sailor of the Quarter, Sailor of the Year, and these guys compete for it every year. They do volunteer work, and when they don't get it, they're like, oh man, I didn't get it, they didn't like me. Well, maybe nothing was in your resume. What did you put in your resume? Did you do volunteer time? I gotta do volunteer time? Yeah, you gotta do volunteer time. That's part of it. You're representing everybody within the organization. And we want you to do volunteer time. We want you to go back to school. We want to make you better. And that's what you guys are doing here. You're not going to school, but you're actually getting education. And you get education from one another. I was telling one of the people I work with came up here a little while ago, and I said, hey, I'm going to leave the conference. And I think I drove Perry crazy for like 20 minutes because I had to get outside to just get my thoughts together. And I'll tell you, you guys are probably the most amazing people I've met. Everybody's friendly. I talked to about 10 or 11 people when I was leaving. 10 or 11 people come back in. They don't know who I am or what I do. They're like, what are you doing? I'm saying, I'm up here speaking. And it was just this really friendly atmosphere. So that's part of it. So I think everybody in this room needs to be able to take some cards from people, talk to them. And I'm not telling you to be the best friends with the persons, but they will help you individually when you have a problem. And I'm not just talking about your C2 business. I mean other problems as well. We hide a lot of stuff in our heads. You guys ever heard of regional beta? I'm going to forget the name of it. I'm going to have to come back to it because I didn't forget the name of it. Paradox. Regional beta paradox. Does anybody know what that is? No? You guys don't watch YouTube? No? Yeah, you can Google it real quick. So basically what that means is I think that most of the people up here saying is that You get into a position of comfort that you like, that you're not going to change because it's not bad enough for you to make the change. You have to figure out what that change is going to be, what it's going to do to you, and if it's not so bad, you're not going to change. I think that when you go through these things, you have to have a way of making accountability for yourself. And this regional beta thing, we all have it. It's what we do to make us comfortable. And we're not going to change unless something traumatic happens. I'll use relationships. All right, you're in a bad relationship, but it's not so bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not really bad. If it got worse, then I would get out of it. But what is that? So you're wasting all this time in a bad relationship until it gets worse. How many years did you do this? And I'm by no means advocating divorce or separation. I'm saying that you as an individual have to do something about it. And if you're doing that in your personal life, you're doing that in your business. You're just letting things happen. You got to figure out a way of fixing that. Is it communication? At some point in your relationship with your significant other, there was some love there. What happened? How did it fall apart? Is it a work-life balance? I don't know. You know. You know the moment it went bad. But how do you fix it? In your businesses, as individuals, you know when your business is going to go bad. And majority of it is because you don't have accountability. And I'm not preaching at you telling you did something wrong. I may come across like that. But accountability. I think Melinda covered this in her thing. Accountability. You have to be held accountable to somebody. In coaching sessions, the first thing we send them is, hey, here's your accountability list for the day or the week. Answer these 5 questions. What is your biggest obstacle? Right? You should ask yourself, what's my biggest obstacle? What am I doing to fail my company or my organization? What can I do to be better than I am today or tomorrow than I am right now? Where do I see myself 5 years from now? And I'm not a big planner for 5 years. I am one of those guys that, hey, tomorrow I'll figure it out. But my staff is one of those people, they're all long-range planners. They hate me. I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. They're like, no, we got to get it done today. But you hire people, like Melinda said, you hire people to fill the needs that you have in your organization, within your company. Even if you're one-man shop, you can hire these young, social media, right? I just started doing social media. And I told my son, I go, hey, how do you do this? They go, just log on and make an account. I'm like, well, how do you do that? Like, I know how to log in and make an account, but I'm like, I can't get the name I want. I can't put the name up. But how do I do this? How do I post stuff? I'm a smart guy. I think I'm a smart guy. So I tell myself. But I was like, I don't understand. You need to help me. I go to my 20-year-old son and go, how do I get onto social media so I can post stuff that I think is important? He goes, Dad, you can't post everything you say. Like, what? He said, a lot of people don't know what you say. Well, they don't know what they're talking about. Only the people that my friends are going to read this, or people who want to know what I'm saying, are going to read this. Because no, everybody reads it. Because people are looking for what you're saying. And I'm like, that's not social media. That's something else. But I'll play by the rules. I'll post my stuff. I'll put it out there for people to read. Because it's important not for my business, but it's important for me. I'm one of those people that I go out and talk to people, and I've never actually got out and said, hey, this is for the world. Here's some good information for you. We, as individuals in this room, need to work with people we work with in order to become better and more successful. If you guys aren't doing that, you're not accountable. You're not accountable to yourself, you're not accountable to your business, you're not accountable to your family, and you're not accountable to C2. Not that you work for them. But if you want to be better, you have to have some kind of accountability in your life. You can write stuff down, but if you don't do it, it's part of accountability. We have a thing called comfort zone. And what are you doing today? Are you walking your 5,000 steps? Well, that's great. After 13 days, it becomes a habit. Then it becomes normal. Normal is normal. Normal is what everybody does that doesn't want to be successful. How do you fit that? How do you take normalcy out of your life? You become more productive. When do you get up? You get up at 7, you get up at 8. And when do you start your day? Do you start your day when everybody else starts their day, or do you start your day half hour before everyone else? I am by no means telling you to work 12-hour days. I believe you can be more productive in 10 hours than you can in 8. Sorry, you can be more productive in 8 hours than you can in 10. It's how you manage your time and what you do within that time and how you plan your day to be successful and accountable. Life is about survival. I've traveled all over the world. I was in the SEAL teams 25 years. I've I've been on carriers that went on fire. I've been in combat zones. But the craziest thing I've ever done was hunt poachers in South Africa. Right? There's a long story about that. But I did a show called The Rhino Wars, and then they say we're going to take to South Africa. We want you to go there. We want you to work with the locals, and we want you to hunt poachers. Now, if you ever watch the show, it's on Discovery Channel, I think. It'll be like, oh, they're here saving the rhinos. You never see me petting a rhino. Never. Not because I didn't like it. I said, well, I was sold a bill of goods. I thought I was there to hunt poachers, and this is kind of like they're robbed. In the front row! I was there to hunt rhinos. I'm sorry, hunt rhinos. That's what you threw me off. So I was there to hunt poachers on a rhino show. So it's called the Rhino Wars. I did that. I did the Sony PlayStation. I was a game, what do you call them? The person on the video game for 10 years. I did movies up in LA. I did commercials. I ran the SOCOM Hell Week stuff on the internet. This is so many things I've done since I left the SEAL team, and it's because I've always moved the ball forward. I am by no means a product of my environment. I am by means creating my own environment for me to be successful. And that's what you guys do. I'm 60 years old, right? And my job for the next, how long I live, is to always be moving the ball forward. I've got a master's in psychology. I'm going to move to get my doctorate probably in a couple of years, once I get more of the training in my belt, because it's always important that I learn. My son is going to be a neuropsychologist, and I have to keep up with him. But the important thing is that the ball never stops rolling. And that you guys, everybody in this room, should always look at what they're going to do. How do you survive in the future? It's building this relationship and educating yourselves on the things that are important to your job in your area. If you're not good at it, get out. Right? Your passion does not mean you're going to have success in whatever job. Passion sometimes is ill marketed. You have to have a knack for certain things. If you don't like talking to people, this is not the job to do. And I by no means telling people to get out of the job. You have to figure out what that's going to be. Because nobody in this room is a one-man shop. Whether you hire people from your family or hire people that are going through college or whatever it is, the best workers I have are people that believe in the product I have. That keep me in line. They hold me accountable. I hold them accountable, but they hold me accountable. The expectations of you and the expectations of you of me. And if you're not doing that, you cannot survive in the future. You cannot survive as an island. You can only prosper when you have other people in your tribe, or your team, or your organization, whatever that is. The one thing about the SEAL teams is every SEAL is a SEAL, no matter what he does. The only person we talk bad about is the guy who talked about shooting bin Laden. Because the only person that you SEALs will be like, well, I don't like talking. Well, no, there's the guy that killed all those people. But, and advertised it. But most SEALs will carry the same person, even though I've been out for a long time. Everything I do that's mentioned in SEALs, I have to be the best at what I do because I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe in the community I belong to. If you guys belong to C2 or you're not belong to C2 or you're going to become part of C2, you have to believe that you're representing everybody else that works in an organization, however your contracts work. I know you guys are employees, you're 1099, what do you call it? Independent contractors. Yeah. But you belong to something, and you want to make a difference with them. You want to make a difference for all the people you work with. You want to come up and get one of these fine trophies. Because when you get that trophy, what am I getting next year? Am I going to be 1 of 25 this year? Yeah. Do I want to be 1 of 25 next year? I want to be the #1 person. And then beyond that, make another trophy for me. I broke through the ceiling. You know? Like I got it last year, I'll get it this year. It's awesome, it's great. Cinderella story. But I want to make sure people understand that you're not just understand you're a hard worker, but that you are hard working. Not for them, but for your organization. The only easy day is yesterday. The SEALs always talk about the only easy day is yesterday. Because what you did today doesn't matter. Your mission you did today doesn't matter. What matters is what you do tomorrow. You can rest. That's great. But the other guys that are out there are going to pass you up. You get no respect in the SEAL teams at all when you get 5 years in. You went through Buzz like everybody else. You went through SQT like everybody else. You went on a couple of missions, and you're still the new guy. 5 years. Why is it 5 years? Anybody know? Anybody have your wild guess? Because people get out of the SEAL team after that. We have a lot of people get out between 5 and 7 years. They get out because they go, I'm a SEAL, I can go sell this now. I can sell that I'm a SEAL. I can go anywhere. I can go to Hollywood and sell that I'm a SEAL. They fail because they set themselves up for failure because they said, hey, you know what? I want to get my stride in, and I go to SEAL team, I'll do a couple points, I'm going to get out, I'm going to write a book talking about how bad it is, and then I'm going to be, and I'm going to sell the rest of my life. And oh man, God, this sucks, man, no one wants to hire me because you have no experience. You may be a SEAL with have tried it, but you haven't done anything, not real stuff. And you can't be hired, you're hired because he's a SEAL, but you get there like, this guy is not like anything I thought he would be. Because they haven't been educated. They haven't gotten the wisdom of being a SEAL. They haven't gotten the humility of being a SEAL. So we lose people. And that's okay. Because you wouldn't want them to go on a mission 5 years from now anyway. Or 10 years from now. Because they're always thinking about themselves, not the greater picture of the entire group. I challenge you, not to do push-ups or pull-ups, but I challenge you to look at yourselves and write out your message and pave out your road of where you want to be 5 years from now. Right? Doesn't matter how old you are, because I'm old. What matters is you actually take the time to do it. It's not going to come out to be what you planned it to be because there's variables. Things are going to change. But what you have to think about is, I have a roadmap to my future, and it's going to change. But until you write it out, you don't know it changed. You can't track it. We have a saying in the military, no plan survives first contact, right? Who thought the interest rates would be in the high 6s 2 years ago? But if you do all the work, you do all the preparations, you're still moving forward. Loans are still being sold. My friend just sold her house the other day. So people are buying houses, and people are selling houses. In a market where they say the interest rates are high. I bought my house, I think I was talking to Jay about this earlier. I said when I first bought my house, interest rates were double digits. I thought that was normal. When they're at 4 or 5%, I was like, hey, they're down to 2%. Wow. There's 6 people are still buying houses. And they buy them because they have a relationship with their vendors or their loan officers. People refinance houses. The generation we're in right now, and I am not giving you any advice, so I apologize if it comes off like that. But the baby boomers that owned houses back when they were really expensive are now over millions of dollars, and that's your market, right? Everything's about the baby boomers. For the young people, that's people born in the 1960s. I met a kid the other day. I was teaching DBSS, which is a piracy program, and he was like born in like 2001. I was like, what? 2001? Jesus, I am getting old. My point is that everybody that as an individual, I'm going to close on this, is that you guys have heard the buffalo and the cow. And I had to be careful with the cow thing because I thought that would be, it would trigger somebody. So I'm not talking about anybody as a cow. I'm talking about, there's a thing called a buffalo and a cow, right? So what buffaloes do is they run towards whatever the weather environment is, it's bad. They run towards the lightning, they run towards it, and they run through it. Cows run the other direction, and herds, right? They tire themselves out, and the storm still comes and gets them. What you guys have to think about is that your herd, your tribe, your team, your group needs to run through this and get to the other side as soon as possible. I appreciate everybody here. I appreciate you having me up here. And give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.